This lesson will teach me to define and recognize the medians and the centroid of a triangle and to apply the centroid theorem. Some definitions. You may need to pause the video in order to get all of them. 3 of them. We have median. Median is a segment joining a vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. The vertex, there are 3. This is one vertex of a triangle. Here's the midpoint. Notice the single markings. So a median connects the vertex to the midpoint. There are a total of 3 medians in a triangle. We have another vertex, and if it were to go to the other midpoint, there could be another one, and there could still be a third. So there are a total of 3 medians. Centroid, the point where the 3 medians of a triangle intersect. So the centroid here is point G. The centroid theorem. A centroid is 2/3 the distance from each vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So let's look at one of these medians. We'll look at segment AD. So segment AD is a median with G being the centroid. Notice how much longer the distance from A to G is as opposed to that from G to D. It's significantly smaller. The longer distance is 2/3, making this distance equivalent to 1/3. One more thing before I move on. When we talk about median, we're talking about of a triangle. This isn't median like mean median mode. It's median of a triangle. All right, number 2, it says AD is the median of triangle ABC. It's pictured over here. Oops, I think it needs to say find the indicated lengths. It says if CB equals 10, find CD and BD. So CB is this whole length down here. It's already telling me that AD is the midpoint, or I'm sorry, is the median. By definition of median, I know that D has to be the midpoint. So CD is 5, BD is 5. If you were to be asked in a proof how you know that, I know it because of the definition of median. Median goes to a midpoint, so if I'm told that there's a median, then point D has to be the midpoint. Let's see, letter B. If BC equals 2x plus 1, and BD equals, 3x minus 5. Again, knowing that this is the midpoint, because of the word median, those two things have to be equal. Since they're equal, I'm going to go ahead and set them equal. 3x minus 5. All right, so we said 2x plus 1 equals 3x minus 5. When I solve this equation, I get x equals 6. But the equation's not asking for x, it's asking for the length of CB. So if this distance was 2x plus 1, 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. This one over here said 3x minus 5, so also 13. So the length of C to B is a total of 26. Several here. Letter A, it says P is the centroid. So P is the centroid, and PR is 10. And it wants us to find the length of PT and RT. All right, so we know from the centroid theorem that PR is 2/3 the whole length of the median. And I can go back and show you. Oops, one more page. It says the centroid is 2/3 the distance from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So it's 2/3 the length of the median. One more. So it tells me that PR is 10. So PR equals 2/3 times RT. I need to get RT by itself. 2 ways you can do this. Grab your calculator and do 10 divided by 2/3. Or without a calculator, we can do it in 2 steps. That would give us 30. divide both sides by 2, RT equals 15. And think about this for a second. If we were to split RT into 3 equal pieces, 1, 2, 3 equal pieces, and all of them added up to 15, this one would have to be 5, this one would have to be 5, and this one would have to be 5. The reason why I'm trying to get you to think about this is because PT is 1/3 the length. So it's one of those thirds. This RP, or the 10, is 2 of the 3 pieces. So 2 of those 3 pieces has to give you 10, so the other one has to be 5. And some of you may be able to figure that out without an equation, but there's how you do it with an equation. Letter B, it says R is the centroid. So with them telling us that, we know these midpoints, we know these are medians, 2/3, all of those things apply. And it says that SR is 17. This problem is pretty similar. So I know that SR is 2/3 the length of the entire median. So if SR is 17, then 2/3 of 17, may need to grab your calculator. I ended up with SV equaling 25.5. So meaning this leftover distance of RV is 8.5. And again, if you think about this whole length, if you were to split something that is 25.5 into 3 pieces, grab your calculator, divide it by 3, you're going to figure out that in 3 equal pieces, they're 8.5. So 2 of those thirds is that longer piece, 1 of those thirds is the shorter piece. All right, letter C. It tells us that D is the midpoint, and we know that BG is 4. Well, here in this case, BG is the shorter of the lengths. So I'm saying BG, it's DG is really going to be 1/3 the length of the entire centroid. Well, I know that it's 4. So what must the whole thing have been so that 1/3 of it was 4? Well, it must have been 12. Think about it again, and maybe you don't need to. If I take something that's 12 and split it into 3 equal pieces, they're each going to be 4. So it makes sense that the 1/3 piece is 4, and the other 2/3 piece must have been 8. So whatever way you need to figure that out, just make sure that you can understand it. Number 4, coordinate geometry. Nobody freak out here. We're going to go back to using the midpoint formula, which is averaging x plus x divided by 2, y plus y divided by 2. The order that you add doesn't matter. I've already graphed my points there in red, and I connected them to make a triangle. Those sides are in orange. So it says find the midpoints of the sides of the triangle, label them R, S, Q. Well, it doesn't tell us which ones are S or Q, so let's just go for it. If I find the middle of those two, then I'm going to call this one R. I would take the X's and add them together, and I would take the Y's and add them together. Oops, that was supposed to say 2. So that's 1 plus 2 is 3. That's going to give me 1.5. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 1.5 and 3, I'm going to call that my middle R. All right, I'm going to call my next calculation S, and I'm going to let it be these two here. So if I do 2 plus 9 divided by 2, 6 plus 0 divided by 2, I'm going to end up with 5.5 and 3. 5.5 and 3. I'm going to call this one S. And then my last calculation, I guess I can do it over here, is going to be for point Q. And that's going to be N and P. All right. So 1 plus 9 and 0 plus 0 is going to give me 5, 0. So right here. And I'll call it Q. It says find the coordinates of the centroid, label it T. So I'm going to use my line tool. You may need a ruler. The centroid is formed by the medians, and the medians join the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. A vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side, and the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So it looks like my median is right here with coordinates 4, 2. And looking at my work, it looks like I forgot to label my points, so that would have been P, this one, M, and this one over here, N. So we have our vertices, which are these. We have our midpoints in here, and when you connect a vertex to a midpoint, it gives you the median. And then the centroid was where the 3 medians came together. And that's it. Well, we're all done.